Solutions. I'm your host, Dr. Dave Layton, and thank you for joining me in our journey to hope. It is my desire through this podcast to bring you information about how to discover, sustain, or perhaps regain hope. In this episode, I'm speaking with Bradley Byrne. Now, I've known Bradley for many years. I had the honor of being part of his staff at the Alabama two-year college system when he was our chancellor. He brought us direction, focus, and enthusiasm we sorely needed. We had gone through a series of temporary chancellors. I will always remember something Bradley said to us. He would end our meetings or other gatherings by saying, "I'm Bradley Byrne, and I'm not going anywhere." Well, later, Bradley became a congressman representing Alabama's 1st congressional district from 2014 to 2021. Now, I'm going to let him introduce himself and tell us what he's engaged in now. Hello, Bradley.
Hello, David. It's awfully good to see you again. And I love the concept of this podcast. It's great.
Well, thank you. So, I'm sorry. I started it about 2.5 years ago. I was recovering from leukemia. And a friend of mine, a preacher up in the Decatur area, invited me to come up and speak on the subject of hope. I had written a book called Journey to Hope as I was undergoing treatment and all. It wasn't about me, it was about hope. And he said, "You need to start a podcast." And I thought, why didn't I think of that? So that's kind of how it got started. And I try to bring a balance of secular and scriptural or spiritual information, just a variety of it. So anyway, tell us about yourself a little bit and then what you're involved with now.
I'm a native Mobilian. My family's been here a long time. I've been blessed to receive a great education and was able to have a career as a lawyer before I started doing public things as an elected official. So before I was the chancellor with you, I was a member of the state school board that governed the two-year college system and then was in the state senate. I'm married. I have my wonderful wife of now 45 years, and we are still very much in love with one another. We have 4 grown children, and so far, we're still in production, 3 grandchildren. So we're richly blessed with family and lots of friends and are having our best lives. So I left Congress, went back to my old law firm, was kind of happy doing sort of a half-time thing. And there was a vacancy here in the presidency at the Mobile Chamber. And originally I was not interested in it. When they called to ask me to do it, I said, I'm having too much fun working half-time here. But our then mayor, Sandy Stimpson, who's a dear friend, really kind of put it on me. And so in June of 2022, I came over here to the chamber, and I've been the president and CEO of the chamber ever since. And we are in what I call the golden age of Mobile. We just announced our GDP numbers for 2023 and 2024. And we, across those 2 years, we grew our economy 9%, which is an additional $2 billion. We've announced over 6,500 new jobs, most of which have not hit yet. So our economy is booming. We have a 3rd line of production at our Airbus plant here, which, when it's mature, will make Mobile the 4th largest producer of commercial aircraft in the world.
Okay.
We have a fast-growing shipyard on the Mobile waterfront. Mm-hmm. That is going from 2,500 employees to 5,000 employees, making some pretty cool things for the Navy. And we expect to have an announcement here soon about another very large shipyard here. Our container port is the fastest growing container port in America. We are the 2nd largest coal port in America and the largest steel port in America. So our logistics industry is growing. Mm-hmm. We have 3 steel plants here and soon to be a new aluminum plant over in Bay Minette. So metals is a big part of who we are. And you don't think of it as an industry, but healthcare is a big industry here. We have 2 gigantic health systems that are headquartered here. And so we have lots of people employed not just as doctors or nurses, but in all sorts of other parahealth, paraprofessional roles. And just the business side of healthcare is gigantic. So we're blessed with a lot of growth that's happened here, and the chamber is the point of the spear for that. We know that. We are the economic developers for this area. So you know me, you throw me into that briar patch, and I'm just happy as I can be.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hey, excuse me. I remember when I was working on staff, Austell had kicked off the big, I'm going to pronounce it wrong, littoral,
Yeah, literal combat ship.
yes. And I got to go down there one day to spend some time with them to learn a little bit so I could help develop that ship fitting curriculum. And they let
Yeah,
me crawl through that and go
yeah.
through it. It was amazing. But yeah, Mobile's always been a dynamic city. By the way, I enjoy driving through that Bankhead Tunnel, unless it's foggy, then it's no fun at all.
Yeah,
But it's like a kid, I just love driving through that tunnel. It's a lot of fun. Okay, healthcare. Wow, yes,
yeah.
healthcare, and I love personally when I was going through my leukemia problems. What a wonderful healthcare footprint we have in the state of Alabama. Um, it's just amazing. By the way, I volunteer now at our local cancer center where I was
Very good.
treated, and what a joy it is to work with the nurses and doctor that took care of me and turn that around and help others. But I'm actually getting ready to go back to school. I am so inspired by the healthcare professionals that I work with that I'm going to attend Central Alabama Community College starting this coming, not spring, but summer semester. I want to be a medical assistant. And
Wow,
so I'm looking forward to it.
good for
Um,
you. I
I'm, I'm,
had my own experience with cancer 2 years ago,
oh, okay.
and prostate cancer, and
Uh-huh.
everything went great.
Good.
But I was so impressed, as apparently you are, with the healthcare professionals and that they cared about me.
Uh-huh.
I just
Yes.
wasn't something that going through their system. They really cared about me and talked to me, asked questions. How you doing with this? How you doing with that? I,
Yeah.
I, I went through it fine, no problems. But
Good.
I think it helped me get through it to have people who I was dealing with on the professional side who just cared about me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's a big part of healing, I think.
Absolutely. It is amazing. And the moment I would walk in the door, the lady that greeted me, and she knew me by name and,
Mm.
everything. It truly was amazing. And so, yeah, I did not know about your challenge with cancer. I'm thrilled that praise God every day um, for recovery. It's wonderful. Okay. Well, um, yeah, I emailed my academic counselor yesterday, and I said the title of the email was "New Student, Old Guy." So when I when I went in to register, all of the students that were also there were like 18, 19 years old. All right, enough of
Well,
that.
you're only as old as you think you are, and obviously you don't think you're old. That's good.
Okay. Well, I want to explore just a little bit. I mentioned that I had Congressman Barry Loudermilk on the other day, and he kind of gave some great insights into being a congressman. And you did always impress me as you were having fun. I saw you a few times on television, mostly like on Fox News or whatever. And you just looked like you were having fun down there making a speech. And so tell us just a little bit. We all have an impression of what it might be like to be a congressman or something, but what was your impression about that?
Well, first of all, for me, it was a distinct privilege to represent the place where I grew up and where I've
Hmm.
lived all my life. So
Hmm.
I considered it a great honor and privilege. And I never spent a day on the floor of the House of Representatives that I wasn't awestruck. Just,
Yeah.
just being where I was and dealing with the people I was dealing with. And the people, Dave, were great. Uh, I didn't agree with all of them. Don't get me wrong. My Democratic friends and I frequently voted
Uh-huh.
against one another, but they were
Uh-huh.
friends, still are friends. I still hear
Yeah.
from some of them. And I thoroughly enjoyed the time I spent there. There were times it was difficult. I won't lie to you. The year that we spent doing impeachment with President Trump on the first impeachment was very difficult, particularly difficult for me because I knew that the impeachment was wrong, and I was vocal about that. And some of my Democratic friends were disappointed in me because they thought I should stand up and, lead the charge against him. And I said, show me a crime, and they never could do that. And they never could understand why I was sort of insistent on that, because I read the Constitution, and the Constitution requires a high crime or misdemeanor, and they never could show it to me. So that was difficult for me, but those are still my friends, and we still speak. So it's not like we couldn't get through that. But there were some incredible moments. I was on the Armed Services Committee, and we traveled a lot to see our men and women in uniform, literally all over the world. And just some of the places I went, a lot of the people I met, the magnitude of the things that we're dealing with as we are today in the Persian Gulf, it gave me I had an appreciation, but a greater appreciation for what the men and women that serve us in uniform do. My son-in-law is the commander of the USS Mitchell, which is a guided missile destroyer that's one of two guided missile destroyers in the Persian Gulf as we speak.
Okay.
And so it's very personal. And you see it from a family's point of view. You realize it's not just them that are serving, it's his wives and husbands and children and, other relatives. So I just have such a great appreciation for them. And I also have a great appreciation for this. And I hope I can say this and everybody can hear it for what it's worth. America's a great country. We truly are. And people all over the world see us for the great country that we are. We just need to start acting like we're a great country.
Yes.
Coach Bryant used to, at the beginning of that, where people used to dance in the end zone when they scored a touchdown, Coach Bryant would put them on the side and say, look, you find yourself in the end zone, act like you belong there. Well, America's in the end zone every day. We need to start acting like we belong where we are.
A good friend of mine used to be a preacher for us, used to always say, remember who you are. And that's right. Hey, by the way,
this. When I was in Montgomery, I lived with my mother-in-law. And every day when I go to work, I get there pretty early, but she was an early riser. Before I walk out the door, she'd look at me and she'd say, Bradley Byrne, do the right thing.
Yeah. I used to teach when I was in the Air Force at the NCO Academy. I used to teach a class on ethics, and I used to talk about ways to screen if something was ethical or not. And I used to have what I called my mother-in-law rule. If you had to stand in front of your mother-in-law and explain yourself, how would you feel?
Well, I explained myself to my mother-in-law every night that I was in Montgomery.
Yeah.
Because she wanted to know.
Yeah. I loved my mother-in-law dearly. She's a wonderful woman, but I would not want to have to stand in.
No.
Yeah. By the way, I want to share something personal that you did for me one day. It was quite long ago. My daughter served in Iraq, and in fact, she was in Tikrit, and she was a procurement specialist, and she also had a war skill. Of all things, she was convoy security. So that was not a good job to have. She sent me a picture one day where she had gone to the armory and she'd armed up. She had on all of her combat gear, her and another airman. And she sent that to me and I bawled like a baby. I said, that is my baby girl. I don't want her in combat zone. But I had sent out an email. She sent me an email. She says, Dad, I'm out of country. I'm in Qatar now. We're headed home. And I sent an email out to everybody, and I said, thank you for your encouragement and prayers. My daughter's safe. And you had called a meeting that morning and were discussing some things, and you pointed at me. I was sitting in the middle. I don't know if you remember Ted Davis was my colleague. Okay, Ted and I were sitting in the middle of the group, and you pointed at me and you said, you tell that little girl we're proud of her and welcome home. I appreciate you doing that. Okay. All right.
Well, I now know how it feels.
Oh, yeah.
Believe me,
I
I'm
did
ready for my
not.
son-in-law to get home.
Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, well, we're proud of him. We truly are.
Thank you. Thank you.
I did not know he was in that, but that's great. That speaks well of you. You raised him right.
Well, he's my son-in-law. I didn't raise him.
Oh,
I
okay.
raised I raised his wife, who I am
There you
also
go.
very proud of because she's back home tending the fires at home
Yeah,
with a 3-year-old. And
yeah.
you know how 3-year-olds are. She got
Oh,
her
yeah.
hands full every day.
People will tell me, thank you for your service. And I'll point to my wife and I'll say, hey,
Yeah.
right there. She served also. Okay. So you're now in another position, and you
Mhm.
spoke to it. You're the president and CEO of the Mobile Chamber of Commerce. And again, I love that city. There is so much opportunity going on in there. So kind of what's it like being in that role?
Well, this is a fun role too, and particularly since we're in this really dynamic moment.
Yeah, yeah.
Much like when I was in Congress, I'm surrounded by extremely talented, smart young people.
Mm.
And so I'm the old guy with white hair in the corner office, and they are very nice to me, by the way. And basically, all I do is make sure that they're wound up every day, know which direction they need to go in, and just empower them to do what they do, which is absolutely amazing across the board. So
Yeah.
it's fun. It's like any other job. Not every moment is top of the line, but that's okay. I'm used to that. We can deal with that. But it's just so fun to sit here. We have a new mayor in Mobile. He's been in office about 3 months. His name is Spiro Chariagatis. It's taken me a long time to learn how to say that.
Wow.
He is 44 years old.
Okay.
He is very close to my oldest son.
Uh-huh.
So I've gone from dealing with Sandy Stimson, his predecessor, who's basically my age and we've known one another forever, to having a mayor who's my son's age. And so he has been absolutely wonderful to work with. He's a very smart, hardworking young man with a great family. And so it's fun for me to work with these young people. I will say this. I'm getting more and more worried that technology is going to leave me behind. I just started figuring out, internet and all that stuff. Now they're going to throw AI at me. I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to handle that.
Oh, you mentioned it about being surrounded with young folks and stuff. I get a thrill when I come across a young person that says, I know where I'm going. I know what I want to do. Uh, Man, I love that. And I just applaud. It is great. And by the way, that's something you did for us at the college system that you mentioned that you're doing there. And that is you gave us direction. And we were floundering and all of that, but you walked in and all of a sudden we had a we knew where we were going, and that helped a lot. Okay. Well, I want to shift gears a little bit. And actually, that idea of giving us direction is a good segue for this. My podcast is about hope. As I mentioned, I want to bring information to help folks discover, sustain, or perhaps regain hope because all of us have had hope challenged in some level or some direction. Uh, and sometimes we don't expect it, and all of a sudden, there it is. But I'd like to explore your insights on hope. It's something that, again, just from a personal perspective, that I always appreciated about you is that you are a spiritual man. I have heard you pray, and I thoroughly appreciated the prayers that you would lead, and I just appreciate that. So let's explore a little bit your concept of hope.
So, like many people, I'm greatly influenced by St. Paul's letters. And
Mhm.
so you remember that famous uh, chapter 13 of First Corinthians, where he ends it by saying, faith, hope, and love abide. The greatest of these is
Mhm.
love.
Mhm.
He also has a very interesting uh, provision there. And I'm looking over at it right now in
Okay.
the 15th chapter of Romans, verse 13. And he says, may the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace in believing, so by the power of the Holy Spirit, you may abound in hope. So St. Paul elevates hope. Now, hope to him and to me is not wishing. When we say I hope Alabama or Auburn wins the next football game. That's
Right.
wishing. That's not hope. Hope is a part of our response to God and his love to us. Hope and faith are our response to God's love to us.
Mhm.
So hope is not wishing. Hope is saying, I believe that God has a plan for me and for the world. And my hope is that I live into what he expects of me, that the people around me will live into what he expects of them. And, you don't always have the best of times, Dave. You're a cancer survivor. I'm a cancer survivor.
Mhm.
But you know what? I never lost my hope when I was going through that. I never, ever lost my hope. I just believed that God was going to take care of me. And through these wonderful medical professionals, he did.
Mhm.
So hope is fundamental because we all go through bad times. It's nobody gets to be immune from that. And the question is, do you go through it with your head down, despair, or do you pick your head up and say, I believe God has got something important going on here. Now let's go work with him to see what it means and how I can be a part of what his plans are. So hope to me is very important, big part of my life.
Yeah. It's such a critical part. And yeah, we're all challenged at times to whatever degree. And we're able to look beyond the immediate circumstances that's going on. I define it, not original with me, but I define it as a confident assurance. And that's what we have at that spiritual level, especially as we take a look at the promises of God, and He is faithful. I appreciate that verse of scripture you shared. That's one of the go-to verses that we
Yeah.
need to look at. There's a key word in there that I love, and I don't know if you intentionally did it, but you put a little bit of emphasis on it when you said abounds. It's
Yeah.
not that much. It's just, it's
Right.
amazing. It's a whole more than we imagine.
Oh, and all we do is cheat ourselves when we don't understand that
Yeah,
because it's
yeah,
there. We
yeah,
just need to open our eyes and understand that it's there
yeah,
and rejoice that it's there. That's another
yeah.
great word is joy. I mean,
Yes.
we were in the Christmas season a month or so ago, but joy ought to be with us 365 days a year,
Oh,
even in the
yeah.
toughest stuff. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
my daughter got, a difficult piece of news. Her husband was supposed to be home like next week, but they extended his deployment by 2 months. And she found out
Mm.
about it on the very day he was supposed to leave and
Oh,
begin his. So, you can just imagine, just
yes.
devastated.
Yeah.
And so as a parent, even though she is a full-grown adult woman and strong as she can be, as a parent, Rebecca and Shaw, my job is to make sure she hears from us, this is going to be fine. God is
Yeah.
in this. He's
Yeah.
going to be okay. You're going to be okay. That little boy will be okay. We're good.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Uh, something I teach people and I write about, share often is that if you find your hope challenged for whatever reason, then get out of yourself and turn that around and see if you can help somebody else or do
Hmm.
something for somebody else or help them with their challenge of hope. And it is just amazing that hope does not diminish when we offer it to somebody else. It multiplies.
Right.
And that's something that I experience and I love to see it. I, I didn't give up hope. My hope was challenged early on in my cancer treatment. My doctor had said, you've got about 3 weeks to live.
Oh my gosh.
Well, that caught my attention real
Yeah.
quick. But in the same breath, he says, but we know how to fix this.
There you go.
And so I put my hands completely, or myself completely in his hands. But the second night I was in the hospital, they had just put two ports in my neck. And I had started the chemo and all of that was going on. And that night I woke up and with a terrible, my heart was racing off the scale and pain in my chest. I thought I was having a heart attack. I hit the button and my nurse came in and Ashley Bach was her name. And Ashley, she said, We know exactly what's going on with you. That monitor, everything is going on. She says, you're having a garden variety panic attack. And it was brought on by the circumstances, the drugs, the late at night,
Mhm.
all of that. And she sat on my bed, the corner of the bed, and we talked for, I don't know, about an hour. And I said, it bothers me. I'm a man of faith and I'm feeling fear. I'm feeling this concern. And she said, welcome to the human race.
Yeah.
Never, never forget that. And we shared scriptures. We talked, and that
Yeah.
was a turning point. You talked about it earlier about that attitude we have and all of that. That woman was remarkable. She got a whole chapter in the introduction. I'm sorry, a whole paragraph in the introduction of my book on hope. It was great, and I was thrilled that I actually got to carry her a copy of the book and give it to her.
Oh, good.
All right,
Good.
I didn't want to make this about me, but you've experienced some of that. You've
Mhm.
expressed some of that, and so
Yeah.
being challenged by hope doesn't mean we've given up hope. It's
No.
just a normal human reaction.
So in the later stages of my radiation, and radiation will drive you down. It
Oh,
really
yeah.
drives you down.
Yeah.
And I was not in good physical shape in
Hmm.
just about every way you could be. So I called my regular doctor, my general practitioner doctor, who's also a friend. And I said, I'm really worried that I feel like I'm down in the hole. He said, Bradley, you are fully radiated. You're supposed to feel like that. And he said, after you're
Yeah.
done, I'm going to bring you in and do a soup to nuts physical and prove to you that you're fine. But I needed somebody to say to me that you are where you're supposed to be. He didn't say it this way, but buck up, do
Yeah.
what you got to do. I went home and told my wife about that. And she looked at me and she said, you are absolutely going to be okay. Just get that stuff out of your head, which, and,
Yeah.
and it's human. The nurse told you right. We're all human about that.
Yeah.
And when you start dealing with something that serious, you sometimes begin to lose your strength. But we just need to buck up, do what
Yeah.
we're supposed to do. God's doing most of the work. We just got to fit into his plan and help him.
Yeah. You mentioned Paul. Paul had his moments, that giant
Mm,
in the faith in
mm,
Romans chapter 7, when he says, oh, wretched man that I am.
mm.
He had his challenges. Hey, by the way, 2 days ago, um, I'm looking on my Facebook page. I reposted it when I was in the hospital. And let's see, what is today? Wednesday? Yeah.
Yeah.
Today is what we call a cancerversary. Today's the anniversary of the cancerversary when I was released from the hospital. And
Uh,
I wasn't cancer free, but I could now start treatment outpatient. But anyway, um, on that day, oh, it was yesterday, February the 9th, excuse me. Uh, I posted on Facebook, day 2 chemo, well on the way. Tired, weak, but fighting. And then I said, love you all so much. Yeah, it was a challenge. And but hey, praise God.
yeah.
He had it.
Yeah. And he
And
always has us. We don't
yeah,
always know where he's going to go with it. My brother-in-law, my wife's older brother, is a minister. He and I were on a hike one time, and I had, that question a lot of people ask, and I looked at him, I said, John, why do bad things happen to good people? He said, give me an
yeah.
example. And I said,
Hmm.
why does a little girl get cancer and die?
Hmm.
And he said, Bradley, do you think that's the end? And of course,
Yeah,
I stopped mid-hike, just stopped. And I said, no. He said, well, then there's good stuff happening too. Even when you think it's all bad, there's good stuff happening. And he says, and you need to have bigger faith in that. I said, okay, I'm I'm staying guilty.
yeah. We grow.
That attitude that God's at work no matter what, God is at work, and we have to
Yeah,
have faith that He's in control and we aren't.
yeah. I had a guest recently that made a statement. He said, God doesn't cause this bad stuff. He allows it, but more importantly, he uses it. And so that's what I dedicated to. How can I use this to glorify God in whatever the circumstances, not just the bad things, the great things as well. So,
Well,
all
we
right.
even us cancer survivors have the ability to turn to other people and say,
Mm-hmm.
"Look, I've walked that path, and
Mm-hmm.
you're going to get through this,
Oh
and
yeah.
I'm going to help you get through this."
Mm-hmm.
Not that I'm a doctor or have any particular professional abilities, but I can be here as your friend, and I can
Yeah.
tell you that you're going to be fine. And I've done that several times since mine. And I've got a good friend that's just come through a pretty rough time, but he's getting better. And I said,
Mm-hmm.
I told you you're going to be fine. It's
Yeah.
You got to get through the other side of all this stuff they do to you to get
Yeah.
rid of the cancer, but you're
Yeah.
going to be fine. And he is going to be fine.
Yeah. Not long ago, I was working there at the cancer center, and the nurse, Bradley was her name, came over to me. She says, "Hey, that patient over there, she has the same type of leukemia you had, and this woman was just starting." I spent the whole afternoon
Oh,
with
good,
her. I took
good.
care of her like she was my mama. And I told her what to expect and what was going to happen and, all of this. And then I pointed down the hallway and I says, "You see that bell over there? You're going to ring that bell." And,
Isn't that a great tradition when you get finished
oh,
with
man,
treatment? You
that
ring
was,
a bell. I think that's
yeah,
great.
yeah. I was able to have one of my daughters, the daughter that had been in Iraq, by the way, and two of her daughters, my granddaughters. And I asked the administrator, I said, "Miss Barber, can I have my granddaughters here?" And she said, "That is your day. You can have anybody there you want." And so they got to cheer Poppy. Okay.
That's good.
Thank you for your time. I'm enjoying this. It's good to see you. It's good to see that you're continuing in service to the community, all of that. I will tell Ted Davis that you said hello.
Please do.
I
It's been a
will.
while since I've seen Ted, but
Yeah.
I remember him very well. Y'all were very much a part of a very high-performing team, and I appreciate both of
Well,
you.
thank you. You might remember, it's been several years, but you remember we came up with that new word called mesogogy,
Yes.
meaning middle learner. We're still enjoying that. Yeah. Okay. Well, my friend, thank you for your time again. I so much appreciate it. I guess I'll go ahead and wrap up. Well, friends, thank you for joining Bradley and I as together we journey to hope. I trust in some small way we have encouraged you to discover, sustain, or regain hope through this effort. I invite you to contact me if you have questions or comments, or if you wish to share with me something you've experienced in your journey to hope. My email is info@ourjourneytohope.com. That's info@ourjourneytohope.com. And please share this podcast with someone whose hope is being challenged. I look forward to sharing more with you soon. Again, I'm Dr. Dave Layton, and thank you for listening. And until our next episode, remember, we give all glory to God our Father.